So welcome everyone. Whenever there is anyone in the waiting room, we will admit them for sure. So welcome to this information session on the Mediterranean capitals of culture and dialogue. My name is Ayman. I work for the Union for the Mediterranean. And I have with me my dear colleague Alessandro, who is representing the Annalen Foundation. We are both coordinating this initiative on behalf of our respective organizations. So I'll just start with a brief overview of the Mediterranean Capitals of Culture and Dialogue. As you know, of course, it's basically two cities from all shores of the Mediterranean, who are designated by the 43 member states of the Union for the Mediterranean for one calendar year, during which a program structured around culture, socioeconomic, educational, and sporting events. And there is a background for this initiative. So it started, it was launched, let's say, in 2022 in November, during the 7th Regional Forum of the Union for the Mediterranean by 43 member states of the Union for the Mediterranean. It was endorsed by the foreign ministers of all those member states. However, it did not just start in November 22. It was preceded by other discussions. So there was a meeting of 200 young representatives of civil society organizations from the region who wrote a white paper that really gave prominence to this idea. And that was followed by a call by the ministers of culture from the Euro-Mediterranean region in June 2022. This culminated in the endorsement by the foreign ministers of the member states of the Union for the Mediterranean in November 2022. Then we did the terms of reference that were adopted and launched in April 2023. Then we started in this year and with Alexandria and Tirana, Alexandria in Egypt and Tirana in Albania. And next year, the two cities have been already announced. So Matera and Tetuan. We have Matera colleagues here. I'm not sure if Tetuan is also here. We have also Tirana representative. We will be hearing from them after the brief presentation by myself and Alessandro. And of course, this call is for the 2027 announcements. So, I mean, as you can see in the slide, of course, and as you might have seen in the products on our website, the costs, of course, of these events or cultural activities are borne by the organizing entity. Alessandro, if you can go to the next slide, please. Yeah. So what are the objectives of this initiative? Well, of course, as you know, the Mediterranean region is very rich in its cultural heritage and cultural richness, and there is a history of intercultural dialogue and intercultural interactions between the countries and cities of the Mediterranean. So the objectives of this initiative are very straightforward. Well, we aim to enhance the richness and diversity of the Euro-Mediterranean region, to strengthen what is already existing, a Euro-Mediterranean identity of the cities involved, while promoting as well their historical and cultural heritage. We aim to stimulate local action, empower civil society communities. As I said, this initiative was born also with the participation of civil society representatives, especially youngsters. We aim also to develop a network of territorial cooperation in the Mediterranean, and that's why in the advisory committee, as you will see in the presentation, we also have Arlem with the Annaland and the Union for the Mediterranean. And last but not least, to provide a public platform where we can address several issues of interest of regional relevance, be it socioeconomic, cultural identity, and so on. Alessandro, if you can go next. So yeah, as I said, well, the initiative is coordinated by both the Union for the Mediterranean and the Anna Lindh Foundation. However, the governance of the initiative is through the Union for the Mediterranean senior officials. Who are those senior officials? As Union for the Mediterranean, we have, as I said, 43 member states. Those are represented by what we call senior officials, who are appointed by the ministers of foreign affairs of those member states. They meet regularly or every quarter, sometimes also on an ad hoc basis, to discuss issues, to endorse proposals, and so on. And by the end of the year, in November, around the Day for the Mediterranean, we have the regional forum where foreign ministers of the member states meet and discuss how we can strengthen cooperation in the Euro-Mediterranean region around so many topics, be it sustainable development, inclusive development, with the aim in the end of achieving shared stability in the region. So the governance of this initiative is through the senior officials. The coordination is both organizations, Anna Lindh and Union for the Mediterranean. The advisory committee is composed of representatives from the UFM, from the Anna Lindh, from ALM, which is Euro-Mediterranean Regional and Local Assembly. This advisory committee, what we do is we initiate and organize the calls for proposals, applications. We do the preliminary assessment of the candidatures, and we oversee the implementation of the programs by the designated cities. However, we also, the decision, as I said, is always taken based on the recommendation of the advisory committee, is taken by the senior officials and the foreign ministers in the regional forum. So usually the announcements are done during the regional forum of the Union for the Mediterranean. Alessandro, if you can go next. Yeah, so there are eligibility criteria as outlined also in the call for applications. So who can apply for this? Definitely a city that is from a member state of the Union for the Mediterranean, the 43 member states. So all cities who are a member of the UFM are eligible to apply. Those cities do not have to be coastal. They can be inland as long as they are in a member state of the Union for the Mediterranean. Also, the leading applicant has to be a local or a regional authority, a public administration. You will see in the presentation there is a form in the annex called legal entity. This is something that the applicant has to fill in when they apply. And well, once a city is designated, it's only designated once, so it cannot reapply in later years. So it's open to cities that have not yet been designated. So we already have Alexandria, Tirana, Matera, and Tetuan. Matera in Italy and Tetuan in Morocco. So they cannot, of course, reapply at a later stage. And then there is an award criteria. Alessandro will go in details about it, but basically there are 8 different items where we evaluate once the application is submitted. And each of those 8 criterias, they have a specific score. We evaluators, we appoint those scores based on the information that the applicants write in their application form. And if I may, I will give the floor to Alessandro, who will walk us through those award criteria and other details. Alessandro, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ayman. Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be with you today and with my colleague to explore your interest in applying for what we think is a solid and forward-looking initiative. So, as Ayman said, there are several criteria. As you can see in the presentation, we make reference here and there to specific documents. So for example, here in the work criteria, we make reference to Annex 5 and Annex 1, so the scores table and the application form. All this documentation is available on our website. So if you go to the website, you will see that there is a page for the 2027 application. And in that page, you find the documentation that is downloadable together with the instructions and the form to actually apply. But we will see the application process in a few minutes. So let's dive now into the criteria that Ayman was mentioning. If you go to the website and you download the scores table, you will see that each criterion is made of sub-criteria. Now, let's start with the first one that, as you can see, is also one of the most crucial, the program. We evaluate the program and we assign a score that is a maximum of 20. These 20 points are divided fairly among 5 dimensions that should be present in the description of your program and that we will evaluate thoroughly. First of all, there's the artistic vision and strategy. So your capacity to project your actions in 2027 and explain to us what's the vision behind your project. And we will hear in a few minutes from Gensi from Tirana and Rita from Matera about their vision and what they are actually doing. In Tirana, they are already implementing. It's 2025, it's their year, and Matera, they will start in 2026. So the vision, of course, is a key component, is the thread that is pulling together our actions, our initiative. Then, of course, the structure. The vision has to be brilliant. The structure has to be feasible and rational. So, of course, we evaluate your capacity to build your vision into something that makes sense in a program of 1 year with the characteristics of an initiative that is based on the promotion and strengthening of intercultural dialogue and cultural relations. As you can imagine, there is a component that is dimension C that is very relevant for us, but especially for you, that is the support to your cultural and creative sectors. You will see that we give emphasis to the role of civil society. As part of civil society, there are cultural and creative sector actors, and then, of course, there is the for-profit sector, also related to tourism and cultural tourism. So these are elements that we think are relevant for your cities and your communities, also in terms of socioeconomic development, and that we would like to support as much as possible. So to see how you intend to involve the cultural and creative sector, not only in the implementation, but also in the conception of the program is relevant. The use of digital tools and innovative creative methodologies, as we know, it is a must. So we would like to hear from you how you think of integrating what will happen in the physical world with the virtual and digital opportunities that we have at our disposal. You know that this initiative, it's not only a capital of culture, but it's a capital of culture and dialogue. And this dialogue component as per se an element of international partnerships and interaction. Here, of course, the use of digital tools can be an asset if you want to make use of that. And then, of course, the promotion of the cultural and creative sector is relevant. So what we create now and in the future about knowledge and culture, but we are also very fond of the promotion, protection and safeguarding of our heritage. And we know that cities and communities around the Mediterranean are very rich in the heritage, in the legacy of their past, of their history. And that's why we would like to hear from you. What are your plans in terms of protecting and strengthening tangible and intangible cultural heritage? Tangible, so cultural artifacts, what we can see, what we can touch, the language that we speak. Intangible, the habits, the rituals, the values of your communities, also in terms of faith and beliefs. And Tirana, in this regard, we think is a very good case study in terms of interfaith dialogue and inter-community dialogue that they are surely promoting in 2025. So we have these dimensions. We would like to see in your application this cultural strategy and your capacity to manage it, to govern through the structure of the program clearly designed. And then, of course, a program that is coherent and consistent. So artistic vision and strategy, a structure of the program, support to the cultural and creative sector, the use of digital tools and creative methodologies, and the promotion of tangible and intangible cultural heritage. Of course, you don't have to flag all this. We will respect the approach that you will take in thinking of your programming. These are suggestions to make your program as strong as possible. What matters the most to us is that the program is coherent, is solid, and has a vision. Of course, we understand it's an application, so we are not requiring a full-fledged program. We just need to see good foundations and the likelihood that this program will develop successfully in the year of preparation. So this is the program, 20 points out of 100. Then the Euro-Mediterranean vision. This is the component that is the most important. As you can see, we are assigning 25 points. The initiative is an initiative called for culture and dialogue. So the Euro-Mediterranean projection of your applications is particularly relevant. And this, we think, is quite unique compared to other cultural capitals initiative. We are putting a lot of emphasis on your interest in nurturing dialogue, also considering that we have two cities and that we do our best to connect the two cities and allow them to create Euro-Mediterranean connections. So here we have three dimensions. Of course, your capacity and interest in cross-fertilizing the local and Euro-Mediterranean dimensions of the initiative. Of course, we understand that you want to promote, to give visibility and to strengthen your own cultures and your own dynamics. But at the same time, we invite you to do that, keeping an eye on those opportunities that relates to the Euro-Mediterranean vision. It is about creating new connections or about cherishing the Euro-Mediterranean dimensions that are already in your cities, in your legacy, in your heritage, your history, the past of your communities. Many of our cities are made of Euro-Mediterranean relations. That's why the element of heritage is relevant, and that's why we would like to see some reflections on your side. Second, an element related to outreach and dissemination. So among professionals working around culture, we are well aware of the strength and value of culture and dialogue. It might not be the same in our communities with our fellow citizens. So we invite you to make an effort to think on how to outreach, so to get out of our comfort zone and elicit, facilitate on the side of your communities the understanding and the awareness of concepts that we think are relevant, such as cultural diversity, intercultural dialogue, mutual understanding, and the notion of regional integration. So what does it mean to think and act with an Euro-Mediterranean identity, if that is possible at all? And then, last but not least, the promotion of international partnerships. This is what I was referring to before. We have, let's say, a direct track for that promotion that are the synergies between the two capitals in a given year, and then more in general, the capacity to attract international attention and to establish partnerships that are based on interactions between actors around the Euro-Mediterranean. We know that many of the cities and actors that are present today are very much internationalized. So we are sure that this will not be a problem for you to give us a sense of your capacity to establish such partnerships. So again, the Euro-Mediterranean dimension is relevant. The capital is a capital of culture, but is first and foremost a capital of and for dialogue. So we would like this enshrined and developed in your applications. And this again accounts for 25 points, so it's a third of the overall score. You can imagine how relevant it is for us. A spin-off of the third dimension of the Euro-Mediterranean vision, that of the international partnerships, is also considered in an ad hoc dimension related to the objectives of the cooperation. Now, in principle, if two cities are willing to establish a cooperation under the umbrella of the capitals, it is possible, it's not mandatory, and it does not give you any added value, meaning the two cities have to apply as a standalone applications. If one of the two cities is eligible and selected, it doesn't mean automatically that the other one is also selected. So of course, we invite you to test the waters, to see if there are other cities that are interested to apply, to mention that if there are already synergies and partnership that you would like to build upon. But again, even if you are thinking of a tandem, we need two separate applications. The presence of a tandem is considered as an added value in terms of your capacity to establish such partnerships. If you are not thinking of a tandem already, we would like to hear from you anyway. What are your plans if you are selected to establish such partnerships with another city? So what are the modalities that you are envisaging to interact with the counterpart city if you are going to be selected? So again, this element is relevant, not as much as the others. You see it accounts for 8 points out of 100, but still we would like to hear from you. What are your ideas? What is your track record in establishing connections with other cities? And what would you think would be the best strategies and tools to do that with the other capital of culture and dialogue? So as you can see from here, these pre-existing cooperation agreements are of course allowed, are not mandatory, and it is not given that if a city is selected, the other one is also selected. But of course, it gives us an idea of your capacity to project in terms of international partnerships. Civil society engagement, Ayman stressed that already, and I would like to give emphasis to that again. We see this as a participatory and inclusive initiative. And we think that when we talk about culture and dialogue, the involvement of civil society is crucial. So Ayman mentioned the eligibility criteria. Of course, the application has to be led by an official actor, so a public authority at the city or regional level, but still it has to be conceived, designed, and then implemented in cooperation with a number of stakeholders that we invite you to be as wide and varied as possible. Of course, we understand each city has their own dynamics. In some municipalities and communities, you might have a very diversified collection of stakeholders. In other cases, might not be, but you might be willing to widen the scope of your cooperation. So we invite you to work on that. 15 points out of 100. Civil society engagement is something that we will assess carefully. So the involvement of non-governmental and civil society actors, again, even in the conception of the program. So not only in terms of civil society as beneficiaries of the program once it is implemented, but also in designing the program itself, if your procedures and willingness allow for that. So we invite you to keep their voice into consideration from the very beginning. And if, and I'm sure among the participants today, there are non-governmental and civil society actors, we invite you to advocate with your local authorities to apply and to build a participatory approach to the design of the program. So you are, let's say, more than welcome to go to the municipality, go to your regional and local authorities and ask to be involved in the design of the program. This is something that for us is important. Second, accessibility. We all know that this is something that is relevant to have communities that are fully engaged in the initiative. So we would like to hear from you something about what you think you could put in place to allow accessibility of young people, of the elderly community. This is something that is also relevant, and of course, of women. Last but not least, the involvement of education institutions. Savasandir, in many cases, we consider education institutions also part of civil society, but we want to give specific emphasis to that. Please, when you design the application, think of the role of primary schools, of the role of high schools, the role of universities. It is the case in Tirana. It will be the case in Matera. Rita will probably talk about that. Ayman and myself, we will fly to Matera tomorrow, and we will meet also with education institution, with the university, for example. So this is particularly relevant to us. Again, civil society engagement. We would like the conceptualization of your programs not to take place behind closed doors, but to be, with all the limits that we understand, as open and inclusive as possible, and we will positively value that. Governance and management, as I was saying, we will very much positively evaluate your vision, but we also need to know that you are capable of implementing the initiative. So we will need from you some figures and some information on your capacity to govern and manage. First of all, we need to make sure that you have the political support and commitment of the local, regional, and national authorities that are involved. You will be asked to mention what is the authority that is sponsoring the application and that you have the necessary support. As you know, this support is essential for the strength and good implementation of the program. Second, the governance structure and management. As I said, we would like to hear from you. You can, for example, bring up some case studies of good governance and management of previous cultural and dialogue initiative. We would like to know what is your capacity and experience in that regard. The infrastructure, of course, the physical infrastructures are also relevant when it comes to the venues, when it comes to the connections of your cities, your capacity to host, hopefully, big numbers of visitors coming from all around the Euro-Mediterranean to enjoy and benefit from the initiative, and then the matters of monitoring and evaluation. The monitoring and evaluation is particularly relevant for us, not only because this, as we all know, is a measure of good public management, so the capacity to manage an initiative successfully, but also because we would like to work with you as much as possible to assess the success of the initiative, take lessons learned, and share these lessons learned for the benefit of the future applicants and the success of the initiative as such. So, of course, we will try and support you in designing these tools, and then we will try as much as possible to benefit from the results of your monitoring and evaluation processes to strengthen, to improve the quality of the initiative. So again, 12 points out of 100. We need some information about the governance and management. Then, as you know, in the 21st century, communication is essential. We need to make sure that you have a strategy and plan in place to communicate before, during, and after the year of implementation of the program. And this, of course, comes with, for example, provisions about designing a communication and dissemination plan, experiences and case studies and background on your capacity to deliver a social media campaign, the kind of tools that you have been deploying in past initiative, the kind of tools and methodologies that you would like to apply in 2027, and so forth and so on. Environmental impact. I was referring to the infrastructure. We envisage, of course, for the good of the initiative and your communities, that this award will strengthen and boost exchanges and presence also of international participants, maybe, why not, tourism, and in general, the involvement of big numbers of citizens. So, even though it's not paramount, it is also important for this, I mean, it's important, but not paramount for this typology of initiative, but still we give some relevance to the environmental assessment. So to your capacity of assess and include mitigation measures related to specific risks. So the capacity to deliver a contingency plan. Of course, you don't need to deliver the contingency plan at the time of the application, but we would like to know if you intend to do so and what are the main drivers of such contingency plan. Financing, last but not least, as Ayman said, we are inviting the applicants to bear the costs of design and implementation of the activities. And for this, we would like to know something more about the sustainability of your application. So we will kindly ask you, if possible, to share with us your budget for culture and the operating and capital budget. So the budget that you would like to earmark for the operations, for your staff, human resources, and capital budget for the actual implementation of the initiative. So we will need some numbers. You will see it's nothing too complicated. You will have to fill out a table with the track record over the last 5 years. But again, we need basic figures. You will see it's nothing too complicated. It's a few figures about at least the percentage of your budget that you devoted to culture in the last years and your forecasting on the operating and capital budget for the initiative. We are providing definitions for the operating and capital budget, but again, quite let's say simply, operating is about the human resources, capital is about the budget that you are devoting to the implementation of the initiative, for example, calls for seed funding or organization of activities. So we will need some numbers. You will see a table and you will have to fill it out. So these are the 8 criteria that Ayman was referring to. You have seen that the program, so the solidity, coherence, and vision of the program and the Euro-Mediterranean dimension are the ones that are the most relevant. So please take some time to design them carefully, follow very closely by civil society engagement. So again, the strength of the program, the Euro-Mediterranean vision, and the engagement of civil society. Now, let's talk a bit about the application procedure. The deadline is the end of July, July 31st, 2025. All the information needed is available on the webpage of the initiative, as you can see here. We will anyway follow up sharing the link if you haven't it already together with the PowerPoint. The application is online. So if you go to the website, you will not only find a description of the application process, the documentation that you need to fill out and download, but also the application itself. So you can apply online, you will have to register. During the registration process, you will be asked to fill out a form. At the end of the registration process, you will be asked to upload the annexes that you will have previously downloaded and filled out. And these annexes are the application form itself, so a paper describing the different dimensions that we were going through, the criteria that we will assess, a declaration of honor, and the legal form. The legal form is necessary to make sure that it is a local regional authority, so a public authority that is leading the application. So again, you go on the website, you download the documentation, you fill it out, you then apply online, and you re-upload the documentation once it is complete. After the application is processed, you close it and you receive a confirmation of receipt. So you will receive an email confirming the successful completion of the application procedure. So again, the deadline is July 21st. You find everything on the website. The procedure is fully online through the website, and please make sure that you fulfill all the requirements and you fill out all the annexes carefully. If you have any doubt, please reach out to us. At the end of this presentation, you will see our email contact, and we will be happy to get back to you with clarifications on any of the points that you might have. What happens once...
Alessandro, sorry if I may, I already shared the link to the website in the chat, and also would like to mention that the website and all the information, the annexes, everything is in the 3 languages, the 3 official languages of the OFM, Arabic, English, and French. So everything is available in all these 3 languages, and even the application process itself, it can be done in any of the 3 languages.
Yes, indeed, Ayman. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. This is very important. So in terms of accessibility, we accept applications in the 3 languages. Indeed, indeed. So once we receive the applications, the advisory committee is going to assess them, of course. First of all, there is an administrative check to see if you pass the eligibility criteria. If you are eligible, the application is then carefully assessed and ranked according to the scores of the scores table that you can find on the website and you can download for your own reference. So we will carefully assess your application, and once the score table is duly filled out by the advisory committee, our advice is submit to the UFM senior officials. So again, to the representatives of the ministries of foreign affairs of the countries that are part of the Union for the Mediterranean. Now, based on the shortlist that we will share with the UFM senior officials, they will designate the 2 cities to hold the title for 2027. So, as you know, the governance is in the hands of the senior officials. We are just providing suggestions. They will make the call. And then the results will be announced around the day of the Mediterranean, that is November 28. What happens after? Well, after the 2 cities are designated, the advisory committee is happy to accompany the cities, of course, within the limitations that we have budgetary-wise and human resource-wise, but we are very committed in the organization of the 2027 celebration. First of all, as Ayman said, we have a very nice website that is multilingual and that we invite you to consult and access. We will help the cities, if they wish so, in designing the program and with some basic elements of organization. Of course, some cities might be well prepared with a lot of experience and might not need this kind of guidance. But of course, if you need it, we will be happy to provide within the limits of what is possible. And then, of course, we'll be very happy to support your communication, visibility, and dissemination efforts. And in this regard, you can count on the communication capacity of the 2 institutions, meaning the Annalene Foundation and the Union for the Mediterranean. We are very happy to resonate the messages that will come, that will be created through these initiatives. Now, the presentation is over. One last thing that I would like to add before giving the floor to Tirana and Matera, that for sure is much more interesting, is that it is true that the applicants need to bear the costs of the implementation of the initiative. But the 2 organizations, the 2 institutions, the UFM and the ALF, are happy to provide at least some in-kind contribution, and in the case of the foundation, at least for 2026 and 2027, also some financial support. In what format? When I talk about in-kind contribution, is the fact that, of course, we are happy and quite often also back-to-back to organize, for example, our institutional meetings or events that are planned by the UFM and the Union and the Annalene Foundation in the cities that are designated. So in this case, Alexandria and Tirana for 2025, in 2027, Tirana and Matera. So we can contribute by enriching your programs with some of the events that are in our calendar. Second, in the case of the Annalene Foundation, we are going to launch open calls for actors from civil society and the cultural and creative sector to perform during the year of celebration. We will have in 2027, I'm referring to Tetuan and Matera, 2 calls, one in January and one in July, with some budget allocated for that in coordination with the 2 cities to organize cultural activities. In the case of Tirana and Alexandria, we will have the call in Alexandria in August, and in the case of Tirana, we are organizing, of course, the regional forum, also with the cooperation of the Union for the Mediterranean. So we are happy to come, boots on the ground, to organize things with you as much as possible, and to support, also budgetary-wise, some intercultural activities. I think it is all on my side. Ayman, I'll give the floor back to you if you want to continue with the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Alessandro. So I think this is a very good overview, and definitely we are, I think it will be good to hear from the designated cities already. We have Gensi from Tirana and Rita from Matera. Maybe we start with Gensi first, and then we give the floor to Rita afterwards. Gensi, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. For those that do not know me, my name is Gensi Koiveli. I am General Director of Integration, Strategic Planning, and Economic Development at the municipality of Tirana. I'm also the person in charge of supervising the application process for the last 3 titles that Tirana has been awarded: the European Youth Capital in 2022, the European City of Sports in 2023, and the current ongoing Mediterranean Capital of Culture and Dialogue for 2025. First of all, thank you for allowing me to be part of this discussion panel. And I congratulate you on your future endeavor if you choose to participate and apply for this very interesting and beautiful initiative of the Union for the Mediterranean and the Anna Lindh Foundation. In terms of what Tirana has been doing, I am going to present briefly what we did after we were awarded the title last year. We tried to start a very early comprehensive process of reaching out to all the stakeholders in the culture and dialogue sphere in the city of Tirana. We spoke to visual artists, representatives on film industry, theater, music, several roundtables with NGOs in the field of democratization and dialogue, in order to identify priorities and include thematic components and flagship events throughout the year in our calendar. In the end of 2024, prior to the beginning of 2025, we launched a 2-month-long competition with all young artists, visual artists in the city, to create the logo for the year. This logo was awarded by a jury selected from distinguished culture and dialogue representatives in the city. And once the logo was chosen, was awarded to be the logo of this year, then through a decision of the municipal council, we officialized the logo as the official logo of the year, and it is now included in all municipal documents throughout the year, as well as an accompanying logo of the municipal logo in our online presences, social media presences, web pages, and other communications of the municipality. We have had a very long calendar of meetings with specific service industry representatives, including tourism, hospitality, HoReCa, service sector, transport sector, in order to make them aware that Tirana had this title for the year 2025, and asking them to integrate communication from the title, including the logo, in their physical but also online presences, communication packages and whatnot, so that the idea of the year is also included in the business sector that supplies, let's say, the industry of visitors in the city. From an official point of view, we also reached out to all the foreign presences in the city, including embassies, international organizations, big international businesses, making them presenting them an overview of the year, of the priorities of the year. And we have scheduled and co-organized events with many of these international presences in the city, including cultural weeks for several countries, festivals, fairs, concerts, which have all been related to the theme of the title, and which are also marked by the logo of the title alongside the logo of the municipality. A special collaboration for the year has been created with the municipality-owned Agency for Creative Industries. This is the agency that assists us in our collaboration with all the creative sector in the city. They have been an integral part of our communication packages and events, and they are also helping us with creating audio and visual content for the year. We also reached out to Alexandria, to the counterpart city in Egypt, to schedule a possible collaboration. In the month in November of 2024, we also had an official visit in Alexandria, where we met with the governor and his staff and exchanged possibilities for collaboration. At the same time, we have reached out officially to the Egyptian Ministry of Culture, as well as the Embassy of the Republic of Egypt in Albania, to see possible collaboration. In terms of collaborating with the local environment, there has been official memorandums of understanding and collaboration papers with the Office of the Prime Minister, the Ministry of Culture, the Ministry of Tourism and Environment, so that they all integrate Tirana's award in their communication agenda and plans for activities throughout the year. We are very thankful to the Annalyn Foundation and the Union for the Mediterranean, which have been our continuous counterparts throughout these times, and they will also both hold important events in Tirana throughout the year. So we are thanking them for this initiative and constant support. In terms of concrete work, the budget for culture for the year 2025 for the municipality of Tirana has been close to doubled in the budget passing that we did at the end of 2024 for the current ongoing year of 2025. So we expect a myriad, a very long and extensive range of events happening in Tirana throughout the year, because the budget also will allow for such support from the municipality. We see similar engagement by the government as well, the Office of the Prime Minister, as well as the Ministry of Culture and Ministry of Tourism. In terms of the environmental impact that was also mentioned before by Alessandro, our environmental department has issued a non-binding advisory, a document instructing all service providers, suppliers, and event organizers to promote a green event approach for the events of the year. We would have wished it was in our plans to have a binding official regulation for green events, but the preparation of it and the officializing it through the municipal council it was going to take a long time in terms of getting the political will. Unfortunately, the last 2 months have been a little bit slow in our amount of events that Tirana has been able to do in the framework of the year, because we just finished the general elections in Tirana, and due to our very strict electoral code, many activities and support that can be provided by the government, central or local government, cannot be done throughout an electoral period. So we experienced a slowdown of, let's say, of activities, but everything is going to pick up speed and momentum as of next week, where we expect many big events to happen in Tirana, commencing from the day after tomorrow, when we have political meeting of EU leaders in Tirana throughout this week. This is more or less what we have been doing since we were awarded the title, and I look forward to any questions, and if you want to reach out personally, I will share my contacts as well in the chat, and I'll be happy to respond and collaborate with anyone. So thanks a lot, and I wish you success in the application process.
Thank you very much, Gansi, and thank you for your generosity as well and your availability for the other potential applicants to also help them and guide them. Much appreciated. Now I move to Rita from Matera. Rita,
Hello,
hi.
thanks for the invitation and thanks, Genci, for having shared so many information. So we will for sure follow your example, and I took note of what you said. So about Matera. Matera has already been a capital because we were European capital of culture back in 2019. But we were particularly enthusiastic to take part in this competition because we are in the south of Italy, so we are in the heart, and we feel the heart of the Mediterranean. So when we had the chance to participate in the competition, we decided that that was really a very good time for us and occasion for us to reflect upon what does it mean to be in the heart of the Mediterranean, having been European capital of culture, keeping these two dimensions very, very closely. So I will try to cover all the points, Alessandro, more or less of the application. Okay, so just to give an overview of what we have proposed to you. So our project was called Terra Immerse, Immersed Land. Matera is not on the sea. We are in the south of Italy in a small region that has, of course, a part of the sea, but we are in the inner area of the region. So our proposal was to reflect upon the Mediterranean area without having a direct access to the sea. And since we have learned that working alone is much more difficult than working together, since our city is a city that is very old and has built its long history upon resilience and strong collaboration between people. We have proposed an application that was not tailored only on Matera, but that was designed on the entire south of Italy. So next year, we want to involve in our artistic program and in what we will do, not only our city and our region, the Basilicata region, but the entire south of Italy, because we believe that this will be really a chance to act as a platform. What we want to achieve, that what happens in Matera and in the other regions that we want to involve might be useful to other countries in the Med area and might have, like, let's say, a universal value. Okay, so we have our program has forecast a series of itinerant artistic residency, so like a caravan stage that will move through the 5 southern regions of Italy. And of course, along with this caravan stage that we travel for the entire year, debating about the Mediterranean in different communities. So bringing together different perspectives. At the same time, we will work with different target groups here in the city, so organizing conference, events, workshops, seminars, so that we will really, in the end, we want to debate about the idea of Mediterranean, collecting different voices and involving different kinds of people. At the heart of our proposal, there's not only active participation of artists and citizens, of course, but also institutions, but there's a co-creation approach, whereas each person can co-create with artists a particular masterpiece. So we have already adopted this kind of approach, and we have really verified its efficiency and the impact that this kind of approach might have on each single person that is involved in this kind of process. So not a top-down program, but promoting a bottom-up approach where this title really can belong to each citizen of Matera, of Basilicata, and the south of Italy. Of course, in terms of artistic program, we work every day to support our cultural and creative sector because this is our main mission. So we have, of course, designed a project where artists from the Mediterranean countries and local artists, so local cultural and creative professionals, will work together, not only paired, but working together with local communities that will be precisely identified. So in a triangle where local communities, foreigner artists, and local artists have the same kind of dignity and share the same kind of task. Okay, so they will work together. In terms of use of digital and innovative tools, all these travel across the south of Italy will be documented in a podcast. So we are already in touch with a big company in Italy that produces podcasts. And we want also to realize a docufilm that follows the artists in their itinerant trip around Italy, because we really believe that also new technology in terms of audio and video might really improve the reaching out of the project. So we want to use different kind of media and different kind of tools, taking into account that we talk to different people, different target groups. So like not thinking about all the people that might be interested in such contents. Okay, so this is the vision of the program. What is happening now? What has happened so far? First of all, I mean, the national government has already expressed its appreciation to Matera Mediterranean Capital of Culture 2026, because at the end of October in 2024, we had here in the city the annual meeting of all the Italian Institute of Culture that are spread all over the world. And the Mediterranean Capital of Culture was at the center of the agenda, not only in our statement, but in the statement of our Foreign Ministry of Affairs. So, as is to say that the national government has a huge interest, of course, in this kind of project. So we really count on their support, and we will meet in a few days the Ministry of Culture as well, because we want this project to be on the national agenda because we will represent Italy. And we want the government to be well aware of what will happen and to take its part of responsibility too. Then, of course, we have celebrated the Mediterranean, the Day of the Mediterranean on the 28th of November with a press conference where we have started to talk about the project and to explain what will happen next year. This year, in 2025, we have launched a national competition for the design of the logo of Matera, so the brand identity of Matera Mediterranean Capital of Culture, as Genzi was mentioning before. It's very important, was the first thing that we did, because it's pretty much important to have an image that identifies the project. In a few days, in a couple of days, we will have Alessandro and Neyman here with us. So we will work together on the implementation of the program. Of course, we have made steps forward compared to the application. So we have a lot to discuss, but taking the chance of their presence here in the city, we have also organized a public meeting with local stakeholders where everybody, either institutions, cultural and creative sector, but also common citizens, will have the same opportunity to understand what is the Mediterranean type of culture, what does it mean to work on the Euro-Mediterranean dimension, etc. So we are trying to keep the process as open and transparent as possible, because we really want that everybody's aware of what we will do next year. So we act as facilitator and of course as cultural managers, but we really want citizens to understand what will happen, but to play their role next year. So it's very important for us that every single citizen feels the responsibility, the right, and also the joy to be part of this project. So in terms of civil society engagement, as Alessandro was mentioning before, we are already open dialogue with our local university that is already has already strong and solid relation with other Mediterranean universities, because Matera is also a UNESCO heritage city. So we already have very well and strong relationship throughout the Med area. But we have already started also a dialogue with the Pontifical University, because here in the city, we have a representative of the Pontifical University, and they are very, very much committed and interested in opening up a dialogue on interfaith, on the interfaith dimension. And just to share with you this news that Alessandro and Ayman will have the possibility to see it, but only yesterday we have learned that we have a copy here in the city of the Vangelo. Alessandro helped me because I don't remember the English translation. I don't know.
The Gospel.
Yes, the Gospel, thank you. That is written in the Arab language, and it is from the 16th century, so it's very old. So this is a witness of the fact that we had an Arab community here, and we didn't know. So we will investigate it also furthermore. And either with the Pontifical University, but also with the civil society, we want also to investigate much more on how many nationalities we have in the city, because we have many nationalities, many people from the Med countries, but we don't know them yet properly. So we don't have a precise geography of how many they are and from which countries. Because I mean, in our vision, it's very important that Matera, that has the lucky to have this European dimension as well, might act as a bridge between Europe and the Med area. We feel this kind of responsibility. And to this regard, since we are already in our kind of another international network and European network, we want to start a discussion with our partner cities to identify exactly how many European cities from the south of Italy are already in our Med network, because we want to really like to start this Euromed network of cities of culture, because I feel that it's like a necessity that here in Europe, we stress the fact that the South has something to share, a lot to share, indeed, with the rest of the world. So I think that that's enough. I mean, there's a lot to cover more also in terms of environmental impact. We already have developed like a green protocol for events, because of course in the past year we have organized and delivered thousands of events. So we have quite an experience that we are happy to share with other cities if you want. And so we hope that this application will be more and more successful over the years, and we are at your disposal as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Rita. You ticked all the right boxes in your overview. I mean, you spoke about building bridges, which is the core concept of this initiative. You spoke about civil society engaging them. You spoke about the communication and branding, which is also important, the political support, and it's good to hear that also the national government itself is supportive of the initiative. So much to really reflect on. And without further ado, I would like to open the floor to all the participants, whoever wants to come in, if they have a question, if they have a comment, please unmute yourself and take the floor. I see some people writing in comments. Maybe if you also want to intervene. Yeah,
Ayşegül.
Ayşegül. Yes, please go ahead.
I'm participating from Izmir Mediterranean Academy. It is a directorate of Izmir Metropolitan Municipality. It is dedicated to Mediterranean issues in Izmir. Has such a purpose. We organized and did many things under this topic. I mean, Mediterranean and Izmir relations with it. Publications, symposiums, other things, some gatherings. I want to ask, should Izmir, for instance, make an application focusing at such an institute, or there are some other issues in the city like Mediterranean Biennale, young Mediterranean artist has participated, but it just organized once, and I'm not sure if it will continue or not, and we did not organize it. I mean, as a Izmir Mediterranean Academy. Sorry, I made some confusion. I made or caused some confusion, but my question is, should we have an application as an Izmir Mediterranean Academy, as an institute under the Izmir Metropolitan Municipality, or as a Izmir city covering the other activities in the city? Thank you.
So Ayman, can I jump in? Thank you, Ayşegül. That's great to have Izmir here, and we really hope that you will apply. Izmir is a beautiful city with a long history, and we are very happy to have your interest. So, as you have seen from the eligibility criteria, what matters the most is that the legal entity that is leading the application is an authority, so a public authority, and is recognized as such in your country. Then, on the specific arrangements at the local level, we trust you to apply through the proper channels, meaning you mentioned that the Izmir Mediterranean Academy is part of the Izmir Metropolitan Municipality, if I understand correctly. As such, I assume it is part of a local authority and consequently can lead an application. Of course, so you can apply. So it can be the Izmir Mediterranean Academy. Anyway, in the application process, there is a document that is the legal entity form that you will have to fill out, where the local authority is actually validating the application. So there is a procedure that you need to follow. But in principle, my understanding is that your institution is eligible to apply. What I suggest is that you send us an email anyway to our functional email. That's the one that you could see at the end of my presentation. We can also write it down in the chat with this specific inquiry so that we can reply in writing. But in principle, it is fine. I don't know, Ayman, if you agree, but with the information that we have, I think they should be eligible.
No, sorry, my question was not about it. Sorry,
Please.
your explanation is very nice, but I wanted to ask if should we just take care of our own activities, or should we also cover the other activities in the city? I mean, some private institutions organize something like that.
Yes. No, that's clear. Sorry, Ajegul. I got it wrong, but I hope that the information was useful anyway. Indeed, so the leading applicant has a responsibility to build a program, or at least a vision of a program. As you know, we are emphasizing your capacity to extend the conception of the program to as many stakeholders and actors in the city as possible, with a focus on civil society. So the main applicant has the responsibility to build a momentum, to build a consortium, to bring around the table different actors. Jensi and Rita were making references to several actors: universities, the cultural and creative sector, the municipality, some ministries involved. So it's really on you to build a program that is coherent, that is cohesive, that is strong, and that brings on board as much support as possible. What happens is that many cities do something that is perfectly fine, that is to give visibility and strengthen programs that they already have for 2027. So if the Izmir Mediterranean Academy and the Metropolitan Municipality have a cultural program, you can of course associate it to the program of the Culture and Dialogue Capital. If other actors have their own calendars, their own agendas, whether they are connected to your activity or not, you can make an effort to bridge the gaps and put everything under the umbrella of the initiative, creating as many synergies as possible. So this is really part of the application construction process. Your capacity to invite all the relevant actors in the city to play a role in the design of the application and to be considered in the implementation. So of course, that is very much welcome. If we see already in the application that you have done this effort to connect the dots. Thank you. I think
Shagul, you are muted, but I guess
Thank you. I take my answer. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Shagul. And Amir from Hariri Foundation. مرحبتين Amir. Please go
مرحبا
ahead.
فيك. Thank you, Ayman. يعطيك العافية. Thank you, everyone. Firstly, I am very, very happy to be joining this call, and again, in a great initiative by the winners of 2025, and looking forward to see the winners of 2026. And I think Alessandro already tapped into my question, which was supposed to be, so currently as Hariri Foundation, we are a strategic partner with Saydun Municipality. Saydun, just briefly, it's my hometown, and it's one of the oldest continuously inhabited city in the Mediterranean, with a history of around 6,000 years old, and we're still discovering more history in it. So the question that Alessandro, I think, answered to get the proper answer on it is that given that we have current works with a number of local stakeholders, with the ministries, academia, whatnot, so we can expand the works for what we want to do for applying to the 2027. Excellent.
Yes, indeed, that is actually the case. I mean, quite often the strongest applications that we received are those that have strong foundations. So it is very much clear, even from the application stage, the level of engagement and synergies that the actors that are mentioned and involved in the process have. And of course, the stronger they are, the more sustainable probably the initiative is. Then we invite you to not to preach to the converted only. So to try and enlarge this partnership and synergies that you create as much as possible. So work with traditional historical stakeholders, but also try and see what are those areas in your communities, those actors that you haven't involved so far. You can do that in building the application, or if for any reason you want to work with a closer, smaller consortium, you can give us some ideas of what you will do in 2027 to include these different communities. Then, Amir, I think your case is very interesting because it's also telling on the synergies that can be created between different actors, for example, foundations, authorities, and governmental or private actors. So, of course, we know that there is this milieu, these interactions between different stakeholders that is very much welcome. And this is for everybody. If you are not a local authority, again, we invite you to knock at the door of your counterparts and have them consider this possibility. And this, I think, is also one of the most powerful approaches, when it is civil society and other actors that are not the local authorities that nudge the local authorities to, be brave and apply. This, I think, it's a real participatory approach, and also one that is very sustainable, because we know already that there is an interest on the side of other actors rather than the local authorities to engage successfully. So thanks a lot, Amir. Thank you also for sharing your contact and the link to MedCities.
Thank you, Alessandro, and everyone.
Amir, can you tell us something more about MedCities?
So currently, through the works of MedCities and other programs, we've been partnering with the Barcelona municipality through another program. And so far, honestly, it's been very, very enlightening to see the common goals that we all have as cities of the Euro-Mediterranean, the common heritage, culture aspects that we can also share and tap into. And I believe this initiative is very important to preach dialogue, have everyone come together, sit down on one table, look into a future where we can all sustain it, whether environmentally, whether community-based, and we are very happy to be part of this initiative. And thankfully, we've learned a lot from our counterparts in Barcelona, for example. One small example, we have the boardwalk, or we call it in Arabic the corniche. We were able to redesign it in a very, very updated urban and culture design to maintain the heritage, at the same time to give it a modern aspect, that we were able to get the insights from Barcelona municipality. And we have other works in progress, and hopefully we'll be able to share across the network. And honestly, I encourage everyone to apply to it. And we're really looking forward for expanding the works and establishing new partnerships across the Euromed. And thank you for Anlin Foundation and everyone in MedCities for making this happen.
No, thank you. Yes, indeed, us and the Union for the Mediterranean are very interested in supporting as much as possible this initiative. We will do our best. I think, Amir, you mentioned something extremely relevant, that is not about the initiative per se, but also what comes during and after that. So we are also have the ambition to build a network. The cities that are part of our initiative, starting from Tirana, Alexandria, Tetuan, and Matera, they are already, as I said, very much internationalized. They are already part of several networks. Our ambition is, how can we give an Euro-Mediterranean spin to this international work? And both Jensi and Rita were referring already to this opportunity. So to try and bridge, and this is why one capital is from, let's say, the south and east of Mediterranean and Western Balkans, another is from the European Union. The ambition, or from the north more in general, geographically speaking, the ambition is to create synergies that are truly Euro-Mediterranean. What do we mean by that? That's part of the journey, and that's part also of this initiative. But the idea is that over the years, this network of Med capitals of culture and dialogue will grow. And this possibility to exchange practices and knowledge will be the stronger and stronger. So thank you, Amir, for your example indeed.
Thank you. And I need to excuse myself. I have to run to a conference. So much appreciated again, and looking forward, and best of luck to everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, Amir. Ayman, what do you think? Maybe we can ask if there are other questions, comments, doubts. Otherwise, I see that it's already 1 hour and 25 minutes.
Exactly. Maybe
Indeed.
we just have, if someone has one more question, and then we can conclude. But I don't see any hands risen, so
Great.
maybe we can conclude already, right,
Yes.
Alessandro? So
Indeed. Thank you, Ayman. Thank you, everybody. Again, the deadline is end of July. You find everything on the website. You can write to us. Please do so through our functional email. Again, the contact is on the website, and we will be reply promptly. We really encourage you to do that. We believe this initiative is slightly different from the other capitals initiative. There is this component of dialogue in a Euro-Mediterranean perspective that for us is relevant. We are all aware of the hurdles of multilateral cooperation in the last years and probably in the future. We need to build this kind of networking and exchanges of knowledge. So we need to work on this common identity. We believe, both the UFM and the NLA Foundation, allow me, Ayman, to say that this is the way forward. So we really invite you to participate to build a regional identity. Regional meaning Euro-Mediterranean. That is the more and more larger and the more and more based on knowledge and understanding. Again, if you have any doubt or any questions, reach out to us. Thank you for your time. You will find the recording of this session and the PowerPoint on the website in a few days. Thank you all. Jency, if you're still there, we will meet in June, and Rita, we will meet tomorrow night, probably. Thanks a lot.
thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.